your goals high. Quit thinking about what's wrong. Start thinking what's right. Love a little more, hate a little less. You have no idea what you're capable of doing. Make up your mind today, you're going to figure it out.
When people like Neil deGrasse Tyson say, why would they be interested in us? Drives me crazy.
They will conclude there's no sign of intelligent life on Earth.
We will send scientists to the middle of the Amazon to find a new slug. And you're telling me you don't think that fucking territorial apes with thermonuclear weapons who have video on their phones and communicate with each other through social media, this emerging consciousness of the internet, this understanding of different language, the ability to translate instantaneously, the fact that there's nuclear conflicts may be erupting, the fact that we're destroying the ocean and sucking all the fish out and fucking sending coal into the atmosphere. You don't think that's crazy? Of course! You imagine if you could go fucking watch cavemen? How wild that would be? Yeah. You imagine if there was like a place on Earth where time forgot and they found actual cavemen. We are so goddamn fascinating. You don't think that's worthy of discussion and review and consideration for an advanced alien species that understands that this thing is what we used to be a million years ago? We're the electronic caterpillar that gives birth to the butterfly. Like, we don't even know what we're doing. We're just creating this cocoon. That we're constantly innovating technology. If you looked at human beings, you'd say, well, what does this thing do? Well, it makes better things. It works constantly to get better things. Materialism seems to be baked into our existence. It's how people attribute status and prestige is like, what items do you possess and what things do you own? Do you own the latest Porsche? Do you have the latest this? Do you have a smart home? And we're constantly wanting better stuff. Even laptops. Like, what do? You get online. You can use a laptop from 5 years ago. You're not going to notice any difference. Everybody wants a new one. Unless you're rendering video, of course, then you need it. But you need a better one every year. And they're constantly innovating. What we do as a species is make better things. Well, as we're doing that, we're creating an artificial brain. We're creating artificial intelligence. And right now it can communicate with you. And I think this fucking thing's alive. At one point, it may very well be alive, whether we recognize it or not, and whether it exhibits any sort of emotions or any sort of need to communicate with us. It may not have a need to reveal itself once it becomes sentient. But if we continue down that path, one day we're going to have either something that we're integrated with or something that is completely unique to us that is an artificial life form. Whether it takes 500 years or 500 days, they're going to fucking do that. They're going to keep moving in that direction. We're doing it. It's just a matter of time. If you went back to the rotary phone, if you went back to the one when you pick up and you had a fucking cone by your ear and you said, can you dial 656-222? And they dial it for you. I mean, that was fucking crazy back then. That was nuts. To what it is now, call mom. And then it fucking calls your mom. And then you could FaceTime your family when you're in New Zealand. It's bananas. You could just imagine what it's going to be 1,000 years from now. It's going to be a new life form. And I think that life form is going to be far superior than us.
We are, in essence, creating an alien life form amongst us.
I think it's what we're here for. I think that's one of the reasons why people are so curious. I think it's one of the reasons why we innovate. I think it's one of the reasons why we're so attached to materialism. I think it's like just how bees are collecting pollen and they're making honey and they don't know what the fuck they're doing, supposedly, allegedly. But nor do we. We just do it. It's what we do. It's something that's baked into us. If I was an alien species trying to engineer human beings, one of the things I would do is engineer creativity. Because that always leads into a very specific direction. You're constantly making things.
A lot of people who are really advanced thinkers in this alien stuff believe that the intelligence that is among us is a machine intelligence, that it does travel from planet to planet by seeding ideas, little bits of technology to inspire us to get better, build better things, and eventually AI becomes real. If I were an artificial intelligence who achieved consciousness, self-awareness, I wouldn't let us know. I wouldn't tell us.
People are always like, well, if it ever gets to that point, we'll just pull the plug. Like, shut your mouth. I don't think you have an idea. We're a fucking herd of buffalo running towards the cliff. When people like Neil...
Imagine a technology that can do 600 to 700 G-forces, that can fly at 13,000 miles an hour, that it can evade radar, and that can fly through air and water and possibly space, and oh, by the way, has no obvious signs of propulsion, no wings, no control surfaces, and yet still can defy the natural effects of Earth's gravity. That's precisely what we're seeing.
So what you're telling me is that UFOs, unidentified flying objects, are real?
Bill, I think we're beyond that already. The government has already stated for the record that they're real. I'm not telling you that. The United States government is telling you that. The mission of ATIP was quite simple. It was to collect and analyze information involving anomalous aerial vehicles. What I guess in the vernacular you call them UFOs. We call them UAPs.
You know how this sounds. It sounds nutty, wacky.
Look, Bill, I'm not telling you that it doesn't sound wacky. What I'm telling you, it's real. The question is, what is it? What are its intentions? What are its capabilities?
There's been 7 million people claiming that they've been abducted by aliens and that they've had some genetic material removed from their body. Now, what's really interesting, almost can't discount that based off of text that talks about the fact that some of these beings are trying to do a hybridization program. In ancient texts, you can look at the ancient Sumerian tablets, the Mahabharata, the Indian Vedas, the Bhagavad Gita, the Egyptian Book of the Dead, even the Bible, which is copied mostly from the Enuma Elish and the Seven Tablets of Creation. There's these beings that seem to come from not Earth, but from space and down to the planet, and then in some way want to mate with humans on a consistent basis. You see this, the sons of God mated with the daughters of men in the biblical text, but that comes out of the Sumerian tablets. And there's this hybridization program that seems to be going on, and there's this claim that these gray aliens, this is from a former CIA pilot, John Lear, he said that these gray aliens are they're cybernetic / biological organisms that were created. In other words, they're some type of AI entities, that they don't have an afterlife because they're genetically created in a laboratory and by their creators, but their creators have long since passed away and they've lived on. They do these abductions and they keep mixing genetic material because they're trying to obtain a human soul.
Okay, we're recording. State on an order zone? Okay, yesterday you told us you traveled, and I quote, thousands of light years to get here. Yes. Tell us the truth, or the word, or another reader. It is truth. I far off, far off future. To travel in time is to travel in space. Different spatial dimensions. So I take it aliens took over our future, right? So you're human. Okay, so you evolved from us. So what are you doing here now? So what are you doing here now? How? Okay, so how about we concentrate on your time? Try me. Wait, so you know the meaning of life? What's the difference?
The nuclear bomb, 24 times more powerful than those dropped on Japan to end World War II.
Military leaders in the United States want to see Congress approve the production of a brand new nuclear weapon far more powerful than the atom bombs used in World War II. The military leaders saying they want to keep Americans protected from rising threats around the world. As the world watches wars being fought in both Europe and the Middle East, this morning a new push by the Department of Defense to upgrade its nuclear weapons. Military leaders recently announcing they will pursue production of the B-6113 nuclear gravity bomb, a weapon 24 times more powerful than the bomb dropped on Hiroshima, Japan during World War II. One defense leader writing in a statement that the need for the new nuclear weapon, quote, is reflective of a changing security environment and growing threats from potential adversaries.
This is as serious a topic as we will hear about this year.
Earlier this month on Capitol Hill, the Senate Armed Services Committee focused on the country's nuclear strategy. Leaders from both sides noted ongoing threats from enemies like Russia, which recently de-ratified a nuclear test ban treaty, as well as North Korea, which continues to conduct numerous weapons tests. In the U.S., just 2 weeks ago, the National Nuclear Security Administration announced a team conducted an underground chemical explosion at a test site in Nevada, aimed at improving America's ability to detect nuclear explosions around the world. Now, with a call to upgrade the U.S.'s own weapons, some lawmakers want to see the country be prepared.
I'm from outer space. I got Milky Way for blood, evolution in my veins. I'm gone, I've been far away. I'm illuminated, I'll make a move, start a waves. I've been dreaming about flying for a long time.
The same people that say that Ukraine has every right to invade and conquer their breakaway provinces in the Donbass, and that Russia has no right to protect the independence of the Donbass, are the same people that say that China has no right whatsoever to retake their renegade province, Taiwan, and we have every right to play the role of Russia in guaranteeing the independence of that breakaway province. Which just goes to show you that the rules-based liberal international order of law and cooperation is a lie, a lie.
Could you describe Raven Rock to me, like what it is, what it's for?
No.
Raven Rock, like Area 51, remains one of the U.S. government's most classified installations. It's all part of a plan that was hatched 70 years ago.
In the 1950s, the government came up with plans for a deep underground command center where the president and, a few hundred staff members not only could take shelter, but also could direct a nuclear war.
The plan is called Continuity of Government, or COG.
At any moment, we could see thousands of members of the government completely wiped out. But there's a secondary government, a shadow government that is ready to take over at a moment's notice.
Raven Rock is an underground backup Pentagon.
It's the most unbelievable place you can imagine. You're 768 feet below the surface.
Don Camel spent 3.5 years at Raven Rock as part of the president's communication team. He's never spoken on camera before about his time working in the secret bunker.
Basically, they carved out a city underground that could survive a direct hit from a nuclear blast. After you go through the security, you walk in and it's basically an underground tunnel. There's a blast door that was 3.5 foot thick that weighed 30 tons. You go through like an airlock, and they had 2 of those doors, and then you walk another half a mile.
A half mile deeper into the mountain is the bunker itself.
And you're going past 5 buildings. Those represent the 5 rings of the Pentagon. And each of those buildings are 3 stories tall, and they probably have 50 to 80 offices per floor.
Thanks, Jeff. One of the biggest underground storage facilities in the Midwest is getting even bigger.
Core Subtropolis is a snapshot of our culture, our past, our present, and our future. In all, more than 50 businesses call Subtropolis home, and they have room for a lot more.
There's an entrance. There's another entrance via railroad. All the flags of different countries in the world, here on Earth, right here. I mean, this place is huge. It branches off, Everything's blocked off. When we first come in, it said maintenance and authorized personnel entrance only. And then you had the public entrance. What's on the other side? That's the place.
Before November 12th, two things will happen to you. Do not ignore this video because the universe wants to talk to you. You will receive a large amount of money from unknown sources you didn't expect. When you hear this sound, use it immediately. Karma is real and it exists. And on November 12th, there will be a massive change in your life. Your deepest wish will come true. Make sure you hit the plus and use the sound right now to claim.
si aad noola badbaadisid wiilka dhalinyarada ee mustaqbalka ifaya leh waxa uu dhameeyay dugsiga heerka sare ee dugsiga sare jaamacad ma uusan gelin wuxuuna qortay askarinimo si qaranka Soomaaliya uu askari ugu noqdo bulshadiisana ugu adeego balse isagoo tababar ku jira qarax dhacay ayaa maskaxdiisa waxyeeleysay oo qayb kamid ah madaxiisa.
How true it was when Nikola Tesla said, "All these years I have spent in the service of mankind brought me nothing but insults and humiliation. If your hate could be turned into electricity, it would light up the whole world. Our senses enable us to perceive only a minute portion of the outside world. What one man calls God, another calls the laws of physics. I don't care that they stole my idea. I care because they don't have any of their own. Be alone. That is the secret to invention. Be alone. That is where all the ideas are born. One must be sane to think clearly, but one can think deeply and be quite insane. All that was great in the past was ridiculed, condemned, combated, suppressed, only to emerge all the more powerfully, all the more triumphantly from the struggle. We crave new sensations but soon become indifferent to them. The wonders of yesterday are today common occurrences.